Welcome to the Glider CEO podcast. Sorry, I was choking. It's been a while. Thank you for tuning in. If you're a longtime listener or this is your first time, this is a guy named Mark Michael on planet Earth with you at the same time. It is May 20th, 2025, and life is flying by. Again, if you're there, you're there. If you're not, if there's moments where you think it's flying by, there's not. Here's what's happened in the last 3 weeks that I thought would be relevant to hop on this particular episode. So AI is real. And I started to write this, I want to say manifesto, but it's 100% not a manifesto. It's just more like, oh, wow. It's just like a realization. And, I thought about when I was going to hop on here, what am I going to talk about? And I kind of want to read it to you. And so I'm going to read it to you. It's 100% my words. It's not fully done, but this is where my head is on May 20th after these last few weeks and last few years. So without further ado, let's go. Here we go. And again, originally I entitled this, I Am Out. I don't like that title. So here we go. March 12th, 2020. If that date does something to you in the deepest recess of your brain, heart, or a faint tingling of your arm hair, read on. I did not know it then, or even until May 6th, 2025, 1,881 days later, if you're counting, that since that date, 50% of our humanity was wiped out. On May 8th, 2025, I understood that another 30% is about to be wiped out, and the remaining 20% will belong to the very few. Let's dive in. Up until now, I believe that there was some version of the human element to want to exist among each other. While many in the workforce, heads up, by the way, this is a tech perspective, look unfavorably at returning to the office, collectively, the businesses that employ them are becoming more automated. An employee is simply an avatar that appears on a 2D screen and disappears a few minutes later. Note, I do hate the word employee. By not returning to the office, we humans essentially began writing a slow obituary to our own community. Yes, it was disguised as work. Yes, it was disguised behind work, but it was special. The attitudes, behaviors, facial expressions, voices, all conversing like a sports team, yet working for some lofty vision, mission, and aligned around values was either fun and rewarding or corporate America cheeseball. Regardless, you had camaraderie at even the tiniest level. For me, I would always say of DevHub, while none of us would have been friends in high school, we can be here until we couldn't. Enter AI. And for the sake of being obvious, for the 300 million users of ChatGPT. On November 30th, 2022, ChatGPT was introduced, or what some would call a large language model, and most would call AI. Sure, it has quirks. Who doesn't? But mostly it became a resource. Therapist, doctor, author, marketing manager, screenplay writer, insert however you use it. ChatGPT got smarter, then was joined by its band of AIs, Perplexity, Grok, Midjourney, Claude, and the like. At first, the feeling was, oh my God, I am superhuman. And then 2025 began. With more tools being layered on top of businesses, what seemed to be curated or human is becoming more automated. Let me explain. Every company has a wealth of knowledge buried in spreadsheets, docs, drives, desktops, servers, filing cabinets, etc. There is a tendency in most orgs to back shelf admin work, i.e. creating process docs, heck, even an employee handbook. And in a lot of ways, digital transformation didn't 100% take hold, but AI systems will. Why? Because it just works in plain English. You talk and interact with it like you would another human. So here's how it will break down middle managers, customer support, project manager type roles. Today, if you are halfway digitized, by the way, this is again talking about tech companies and whatnot, and again, maybe your company. Today, if you're a halfway digitized company, you use a tool like Asana or Monday to project manage, i.e., input tasks and assign responsibilities to different stakeholders. First, that input is manual, typically by an implementation lead. But once AI understands the nuances after ingesting and learning from previous projects, that input will be automated. Then the stakeholders who have deadlines, miss a deadline or late, the AI will reprioritize and talk with the other stakeholders that timeline has shifted and automatically update calendars and comms with the internal team and client. Maybe if a company wants to control that final decision, that will be presented to a senior leader who will choose option A, B, C, which will be laid out succinctly that the only margin for error is yet again human, if even ever so slight. So bye bye implementation manager. Oh, and that engineer or designer, AI has a permanent log of their delays, which are indisputable as it's all logged. So by human resources. The company sets the policy, mess up 3 times or 10 times, you're out. And by the way, it's not called a firing or a layoff in this new world. It's called a deactivation. Essentially, disappear as an avatar from the 2D screen. So that's kind of where I'm at so far. I have some other things in terms of a timeline. So 2025 is the aha year. You either get AI or you don't. 2026 is like you have leveraged some part of it in your org, or this is the holy shit, I lost my job moment in 2026. 2027, more concentration around fewer technologies, roughly half of a company size to execute at a much larger scale. A tech enabled land grab for customers adopting to new workflows is well underway. So, what are the opportunities, you might ask? I think one of the safe bets is sorry, there's no safe bet, but one of the bets, by the way, I'm always wrong too. So, invest in tech stocks. The reason why I think this is that labor will go down and profitability will go up, at least in the short term. AI verification, again, I think there's some play for a future where you're verifying whether an org is AI enabled, which will allow them to access cash or exit at a higher valuation because, again, the labor inputs and whatnot are less. Prediction, I think alcohol makes a comeback, believe it or not, because I think people are just bored and have time. Artists are celebrated more so than maybe they are today because it's so human, it's so vintage, it's so analog that we care more now about the arts. Human experience in sports thrives. So the idea that a sports team versus a robot sports team will endure. Money becomes tokens like tickets at a carnival. Buy the crypto. I think it's a 5-year play. Bitcoin, ETH, WorldCoin as a hedge. I would say 5% of your holdings. I think a lot more people actually check out of capitalism. And I think they end up calling themselves analogs because everything will become cheap and it's like they just don't want to participate in that version of society anymore. This is not our parents' generation. Real estate becomes a slow burn. I think real estate prices will come down because costs overall will come down, which is different than I think how we were raised. I think commercial buildings will convert to micro spaces for the influx of smaller companies with larger revenues, but also like mini third space / studios for people to want to like maybe separate some of the technology, AI, gaming, whatever you want to call it, world from their maybe home life. And again, that's kind of where I'm at with this essay right now. Yeah, I don't know. So that's kind of my thoughts on this whole thing. This is kind of where I don't know. This is kind of how I've seen it. Just feels like where it's going. It for me, it's like it's been a roller coaster of just like light emotion, I would say, or a lot of emotion. I guess it doesn't really matter at this point. It's just more like, damn, dude, damn. Like I had posted something earlier about like nostalgia and this and that, and and it's like it's actually never how we remember it. And so, it's like going into this world of AI, or the world that we're already living in terms of AI. It's just becoming more distant from your fellow human. And again, how does that change the dynamic at companies, at individuals, relationships? I mean, all of it. And so I don't know. I just felt like it was like a little bit heavy initially. Then it was like, okay, well, it's fine. And we're incorporating more and more even at DevHub. And so it's like, oh wow, oh wow. I mean, at the smallest level, just a knowledge base that you can ask questions to that I would have asked my co-founder or anyone else at the company are now being answered pretty succinctly. So anyway, I want to put this episode out there. This episode is going to be live here. And again, if you want to talk, I'm Glider CEO everywhere on the internet, essentially at this point. And, shoot me a DM if you agree. All right. And by the way, what I would say at 42 years old is, and I'm saying this to myself, right? I always say this podcast is a guy talking to himself to cure his own anxiety, is what I say. So again, but if this helps cure yours, I wouldn't freak too much, would be my sense. I guess I can do the freaking out for you. All right. Let me know. Have a great rest of your day.